Aloha, it's CreativeNameToStandOut again with another battle report. This time I'm bringing you a 2,500 point game between my Chaos Legion's army, the Pyre Legion, and an opponent's Skaven. So I'm pretty excited about this game, or at least I was looking forward to it, because this game we're going to both be bringing some new toys. I'm going to be using one of the new Bloodthirsters that is available to the Legion's Chaos army, and my opponent's also going to be bringing the Verminlord Deceiver, and also a unit of Stormfiends. So it's going to be great to see those models on the board. And this may also be the last game between my opponent and myself because life changes and he may have to leave pretty soon. So hopefully not. Hopefully we get one more game in, but we don't know. So starting in deployment, we'll start on the right flank. We have a Warp Lightning Cannon on the hill, a Rat Dart, and then the Deceiver Verminlord here. In this kind of center, we have another Rat Pack and a unit of Slaves. In the definitive center, we have a huge unit of clan rats. I think they're 70 strong. In that unit, of course, is the BSB and the Grey Seer on a bell. Attached is a poison wind mortar. Then we have another rat dart, and then finally a warlock engineer with a doom rocket by himself. Moving on, we have another slave unit and a doom wheel. On the flanks, when he scouts his stuff ahead, he has both a unit of gutter runners here on the left, and then I didn't take a picture of it, but he also has another unit just like this on the right. Moving on in my deployment, we have 2 units of Dragon Ogres. In my center, we have a unit of Chaos Warhounds with poison. Then we have my corn-marked Chaos Warriors. Behind them will be a unit of Screamers, and then I'm very embarrassed for this, but I really wanted to use this model because I knew my opponent was bringing some new models. I have my completely unpainted, not even fully put together Bloodthirster. Really shameful, I know, but I really needed to use it. Plus, I don't really have 2,500 points just yet. I'm really trying to squeeze as much as I can out of my models to make it to 2,500. Here on the right flank, we have another unit of Chaos Warriors. They have halberds, and then a unit of Chaos Warhounds, again with poison. And then finally on the far right, we have a unit of Flamers. We roll off to see who gets the first turn, and unfortunately for me, the Skaven do. It's always a little disappointing since Skaven have great range threats and magic threats. You always want to try to get in as much movement as you can before those start hitting your units. So this is what the center of the board looks like in his movement phase. This is what the right looks like. It's a bunch of chaff units facing off against each other. And then we go into the phase right before the magic where the bell has to toll, and he gets the result that is really great for me, especially since I didn't get to move yet, and that is the result that pushes his bell up 6 more inches. So that's going to get him in a pretty decent charge range, at least it's favorable for me for my Bloodthirster, so things may be going downhill really fast going into turn 1 of my turn. But first I need to weather a turn of magic and shooting, and as you can see here, I do weather the magic phase, so let's see what happens in the shooting phase. So obviously the inevitable warp cannon shot is going for the Bloodthirster, and of course I lose him. So unfortunately, actually this seems like a just punishment. I brought a model that wasn't painted, wasn't even put together. I think it deserves to be blown off the board first turn. So he's already got that out of the way. His little ninja rats kill off one of my flamers, and we move into my turn. Now here's a look at the board as we go into my first turn, and gonna declare quite a few charges this turn. Now, even though my Bloodthirster died, and I would love to have had it hit those clan rats in the first turn, them moving up does put both of my units of warriors in credible charge range. Well, credible. I think I'm like 9 or 10 away. So I declare those charges there. I then declare a charge of the Dragon Ogres into the Doom Wheel. I only need a 7, that's 50-50, and I decide to give them support with the dogs. I feel like the dogs will easily make it. And then on the left, I just moved the, well, as you can see here, I'm going to fail with all my charges except for the dogs. So that ends up being a pretty big disaster. I'm going to help get rid of one of my few chaff units I have. But as you can see on the left, I have the other unit of Dragon Ogres moving up the side. And then on the right here, I'm just playing really sloppy with the dogs, treating them like Dark Riders, and not really, I'm really discounting these rat darts, not respecting them at all. You may not be familiar with the Stormfiends, but there's a chance that when they come out of the ground in the reserve phase that they might immediately be in combat with you. So I give my halberds a armor boost and we jump into the shooting phase. In the shooting phase, the flamers kill off one of the gutter runners and then they pass their toughness check, and then we go straight into combat and the dogs die. So in Skaven turn 2, the Stormfiends pop out behind my lines. This is so ridiculous, but it's great. This is a great little change in the game. And he has a lot of charges. First we have the Gutter Runners into the Flamers, the Rat Pack into the Dogs in the flank. We have a unit of slaves going into my warriors with the double hand weapons. And then, I don't know what he was doing here, but his Doom Wheel misses everything. So this is a look at the board as we go into the Magic phase. We go into the Magic phase, and I'm going to lose my Dispel Scroll this turn, but I'm going to pretty much shut his phase down. I'm going to let Death Frenzy through. I get to see firsthand how effective it is to have Skitter Leap on that Verminlord. Being able to reroll a 1-dice spell is, I think, awesome. So a great model to have, but I do stop it. We go into the shooting phase. He's going to try to snipe out my Sorcerer. Luckily, he rolls a 10, overshoots, but then he hits my Screamers and kills 2 of them. So that was mixed emotions. So anyways, we go to the Doom Wheel. It kills off 2 more warriors. We see the Gutter Runners put a wound on one of the Dragon Ogres, and we go into the shooting phase for the Storm Fiends. Now I'm really worried here. I feel like I don't know anything about them, but if I know Skaven, they just devastate in the shooting phase. So I'm imagining these warriors are going to be wiped out while they're in combat with the slaves, and then I'm going to turn around with my halberds. He'll go into his turn and wipe them out, and then that'll be it. I'm done. But luckily, he just misfires, and that saves me all the trouble. In the combat phase, I'm in a losing battle here with these Flamers. I kill one, and after combat resolution sees me lose a whole Flamer. Here, I just get lucky. I kill one of his rats. I still lose by the flank. I happen to roll a 4. I'm not able to reform, though. So I am going to lose that in the long run, I'm sure. We round out the turn, go into this combat between the slaves and the marked Tzeentch marked warriors, and I mess them up. I kill half of them at least, and they stick, of course. They're steadfast. They got that leadership 10 guy back there, so they're going to stick around. We go into my turn 2. I send my leftmost unit of Dragon Ogres into the flank of the other slave unit that's been in the upper right of the battlefield. I then take my other unit of Dragon Ogres and I flank the Doom Wheel. Unfortunately, I'm so close to that mausoleum that when I'm turning to make that charge, I'm only able to get 2 in. But I am going to help them out. I'm going to just kind of catapult or slingshot, whatever you want to call it, these warriors into that other flank of the Doom Wheel by first charging this rat dart that's trying to redirect me. I'll overrun, have 2 units in combat with that Doom Wheel, and hopefully that'll be enough to just kill it or break it at the very least. Something to note that if you roll a 7 on the Reign of Chaos table, the result is based on whatever the mark of your general is. However, if your general's dead, i.e. my Bloodthirster, you actually don't get anything. So that was something I learned in this game. We go into combat. I start with the Rat Dart, easily blow through that, collide into the Doom Wheel's other flank. Things just don't go as well there as I thought it would. I leave it with 1 wound, and then it passes its break checks. So I'm stuck there. That's too bad. So here's a quick look around the board. We have the Gutter Runners finally defeat the Flamers. The Rat Pack and the Dogs whiff, but the Rat Pack has the flank and so runs my dogs down. The Dragon Ogres do quite a number on the slaves, but the slaves hold and they reform. And then we go into the main combat, well, not main combat, but the combat that was going for me with the halberds against the slaves, and I finish the rest of them off. After I win, I don't want to take a charge in the rear from these Storm Fiends, so I turn them around. We go into Skaven turn 3, and he's going to go ahead and charge my warriors with him. So I'm glad I turned around, didn't want to do that from the rear, and I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing, and I left my Sorcerer out here in the middle of nowhere. When the warriors charged the rat that led into the Doom Wheel, it really just left him exposed, and now he's being charged in the rear by a giant horde of clan rats, and things are looking really bad for him. Meanwhile, the Gutter Runners try to help out these slaves by charging the Dragon Ogres in the rear, and we go to that kind of pre-magic phase where the bell tolls, and it ends up destroying one of the buildings. In the magic phase, my opponent casts Death Frenzy on his slave unit that's fighting the Dragon Ogres. Things are not looking too good for the Dragon Ogres now that they're charged in the rear and this spell has gone off, but we'll see what happens. Otherwise, I stop all the other important spells. We go into combat. He offers a challenge. No, I offer a challenge. I'm Chaos. I have to do that. And he sends some lackey at me. I, of course, dispose of him pretty easily, and the gods see it fit to bless me with. Oh, Tzeentch, changer of ways. I don't understand your processes, but He sees it fit. Maybe he has some mysterious plan to give me an ability I have no way to benefit from. I already have a 3+ ward save. I can't improve it any further, so really I don't get much of anything here. Of course, I have all the odds stacked against me: the BSB, the standard, the 3 ranks, the charge, the rear, and the flank. Yeah, I think that's about it. And so me doing like 2 wounds is not going to be enough. I'm on double ones. I flee through the combat. Luckily get away, but that large block now slams in the rear of that halberd unit. Here all I need to do is 1 wound, and with all this here, that's easily done. I beat the Doom Wheel, and I reform like so. Hopefully that block stays where it is, and I can support them in later turns. And so in that combat, I do get in a challenge. Surprisingly enough, his BSB isn't able to kill my champion, and I do a wound to him. And then we go to the main combat. He kills my whole back rank, but surprisingly enough, I kill off one of the Storm Fiends and quite a few rats. I'm not sure if you can tell that. And I actually win this, and of course he's unbreakable and the other unit sticks. So great that that unit stuck there. Now I'm going to send these Khorne warriors in the flank. Hopefully that will please Khorne in some sort of way. And boy do I please him, because he sends me some bloodletters. So we're going to use some orcs here as proxies, but I thought that was pretty awesome. Of course, I find out that bloodletters aren't really that great. They only have like 1 attack, and that's really disappointing, being that they're supposed to be embodiments of Khorne, and yet his followers generate way more attacks. I don't know. I would have liked to see them have Frenzy. In the magic phase, we see something that doesn't happen too often, where your opponent gets more dispel dice than your power dice. Doesn't stop me from getting spell off though. Get off glittering robes. We go into the challenge again. His BSB is still not able to kill my unit champion, but I don't kill him in return, so my time is short. I can't get lucky for too long. We go into the main combat, and with the help from the flank, man, I kill a ton of rats. You probably still can't tell because there's so many there, but I do kill quite a few. The Storm Fiends are taken down to 1, and they break, and hopefully I can get that last one dead before he decides to rally. Well, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that those Dragon Ogres lost last turn, so instead of going back and re-recording it, I'll just tell you now, they lost. Combat Res was against them too much. That charge in the rear pretty much done them in. They broke, the Gutter Runners ran them down, so this turn I charged the other unit of Dragon Ogres into the Slaves, killed quite a few, and that brings us into Skaven turn 4. There's not a lot to report in the movement phase. He has a couple rat darts here and there shuffling around. This Verminlord does move behind the Bloodletters, getting a position for later. We jump in the magic phase. Really bad one for me here. I'm going to let Death Frenzy go through. Then he goes going to go for Crack's Call. I make a decision not to stop it. It's going to cost me 1 Dragon Ogre. He then goes for Cloud of Corruption, and as you can see here, despite my dice advantage, I'm just not able to stop it, and it's going to be pretty devastating. So yeah, like I said, Cloud of Corruption does a number on me. He kills off a couple of Bloodletters. He kills off a couple of these Khorne warriors. He does a wound or 2 to the Dragon Ogres. But the most devastating thing is he kills off every single halberd, even the one that was in a challenge against that BSB. Oh, so bad. I think he does a couple of wounds. I think he kills off his own Storm Fiend here. But yeah, it was pretty devastating. We go in the shooting phase. His Gutter Runners take some more shots at those Dragon Ogres, killing off 1 more. That's really bad. I'm not going to be able to generate enough kills to offset the combat res. And then we go into combat. So with my champion dead, and being that I'm a Chaos hero, I have to offer a challenge. So I'm back into combat with that BSB with my BSB. This time I easily kill his BSB. And the gods see it fit to bless me with. My hero gets +1 initiative. So the rest of the combat pretty much goes my way. Despite all my losses, I generate a lot of combat res, and that brings us into my turn 4. So in the movement phase, I use my last Screamer here to run over these Night Runners, and his little flyover attack kills off 2. That Nurgle's Rot actually hit the Verminlord. I'm just not able to wound the Verminlord. I take away my opponent's token armor save that he's getting against me, and other than that, I try to do Final Transmutation on the Verminlord. I have no way to deal with him. I'm just hoping to get lucky and roll a 6. Alright, so I'm looking at the board here, and it's definitely becoming clear that if this game had no turn limits, I'd be able to out-attrition this block of Skaven. But unfortunately, there's 6 turns in the game, and I have to make up my mind. What am I going to do? Well, I've resigned to the fact that I'm going to lose this game. So instead of trying to direct any attacks at the bell, because every time I offer a challenge, which I have to, the Skaven wizard runs all the way up to the top of the bell and I can't attack him. So that gives me either the block of Skaven or the bell. If I attack the bell, I'm not going to do enough wounds to win combat and keep my guys with frenzy, and probably I'll end up breaking eventually. And I don't want that to happen. So instead, I'm just going to kill as many rats as I can. I know I won't kill them in time to get the unit, but at least it'll be fun. And so my opponent recognizes this, and his turn, he's going to go ahead and just run the slaves in there. Maybe he can try to break me too, but we're just going to make it fun and just have like a very bloody battle. Maybe I'll summon some more corn demons because of it. So we go into Skaven's magic phase, and my opponent should try to end the game as quickly as he can. So he goes for Cloud of Corruption, but luckily I stop it, so I'm going to try to kill him to the last man. He goes for Plague, though, and that ends up being way more devastating for him than to me. He does one wound to my BSB, which is somebody he's having a hard time wounding, but look at everything he did to his own unit. It was very devastating to him. So, you know, I'm not going to complain. I like that. Maybe it makes the game a little bit more manageable for me, but I still don't think I really have a chance here. We go into one other combat here with the Screamer and this Rat Dart that he charged into it. He beats it to combat res, and then we go into my turn. Now, I don't have anything to move, so we're going to go straight into magic. I think Nurgle's trying to call me to his side. He again sends a rot, and he actually kills off a couple of these smaller units that are on the board for me, including the Warlock Engineer. Again, I'm trying to cast Final Transmutation on the Verminlord, really my only weapon against it. Again, I fail though. We go into this combat, and all I can say is blood for the blood god. I'm down to just 3 characters, and they're still winning combat, and I'm just killing so many rats. We go into the final turn of the Skaven. He charges his Verminlord into the flank of the last remaining Corn Warrior. It's the champion. What a great way to go out, I guess, if you're a Corn champion. The bell tolls and destroys the building. In his last magic phase, we see Death Frenzy go on the Clan Rat unit in the center. That's fine. I still think it's not going to be enough to wound my guys. He's having a hard time. Then he goes with Cloud of Corruption. That's worrisome, but thankfully it doesn't do anything. And then we go into combat. So, of course, the Corn Champion gets slaughtered by that giant monster. I kill off that Rat Pack Slaver guy that charged me in the rear just to stop that combat res from counting. And I kill a couple more rats. But unfortunately, he does do a wound to my Sorcerer. I guess I should have worried more about that Death Frenzy. He breaks, but thankfully the BSB sticks it out. So, judging from that Reign of Chaos table roll, I mean, that's very fitting. It looks like the gods are packing up their bags and leaving. It doesn't really affect anything on the board, but it's just appropriate, I guess. So, we go into combat. As you can see, the Sorcerer does rally. He tries to cast a Final Transmutation, doesn't roll the 6, though. And we go into combat. I kill a bunch of rats. Of course, he's not going to break because he's unbreakable. So I win it, and this is where I'm at. So I have 2 models left on the board, the level 4 and the BSB, and we'll see what the final score is. So, right, unsurprisingly, the Skaven win this one, but it was really fun. It was a really fun game. Being able to, I mean, it was definitely lost somewhere in the middle of the game, but to just stick it in there and just kill and kill and kill, it was just, it was a fun game there. So we got to see a couple of the new toys that we have available to us now. The Bloodthirster, of course, got shot off first turn, and the Verminlord we didn't really experience too much because he was trying to skitter leap every turn. And I just kept on shutting it down. We did, however, get to experience what the Storm Fiends were like. Even though they misfired in the first turn, it's a really interesting and I think a really awesome thing to have monstrous infantry pop out in the back of your opponent's lines. It really changes the dynamic of the game. You have to respond to that because you don't want those guys just in your backfield the whole time. And it put me in a really tricky spot, having to spin my lines around to deal with them, and then I got flanked from behind by this giant unit of clan rats. So I really like it. I think it's very dynamic, and I'm looking forward to more games against it. Overall, though, I hope you enjoyed this. I really hope this isn't the last game that we play against this particular opponent, but if it is, it was a great game to go out on. Yeah, it's really fun. So again, if you enjoyed this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Really appreciate that, and I'll hopefully have another one out next week.